And here we are at the end of the world. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Carol and the End of the World, episodes 9 and 10, the final two episodes of the series. And I'm both very excited and very sad. And I feel like anytime it comes to the end of a show, this kind of is the feeling I get. Because it's like, on the one hand, you have like the final episode or episodes of a show, and you're excited to see how they close it out. And especially when it's a show that you've come to love like greatly. You want to see them really nail that landing. But on the other side, it's like the show is over with this. There's no more. And it sucks that it's the end. It sucks that it's gotta end, but it's gotta end. I've said it before, but not every show needs to go on forever. Some shows are great when they have 5, 6, 7, and beyond seasons. But some shows honestly work better with less. Some shows only need 1 season, 2 seasons, maybe 3, and it works for those shows because it doesn't need anything more. You get the story across, you get the point through, and it works. Gravity Falls was a great example of this, as a series that was conceptualized for 2 seasons, and just 2 seasons was exactly what it needed. It didn't need any more, and any more could have hurt it. 2 seasons was perfect, honestly. But now we're here with this, and this is only 1 season, and I think that this has been what it needed to be. It really hasn't held back or dragged on or anything, and I don't think it needs any more. It's a single story, a single season about people dealing with the end of the world and what that means, and learning to love their lives and value what they have and everything. It's got a lot of great themes that I don't think would work if it dragged on too long with multiple seasons. Um, so I think this is exactly what it needs to be. But that being said, I also want to mention something real quick. You may have noticed it with yesterday's Bleach reaction if you watched that, or the YouTube reaction as well. There was a audio desync issue, and it seemed like it was specifically centered around the the audio capture for VLC Media Player for the show I was reacting to, Bleach, or the special for the YouTube reaction. The my audio capture was fine. It was capturing my audio perfectly in sync, but it was the audio capture of the react what I was reacting to, and it was notably off. Like, this has happened, I think, a week or two ago or something with just the Monday stuff, luckily, but it wasn't this bad before, and I don't know what caused this. I don't know why it was this desynced. Um, but I think I got it figured out. I went on to OBS and I went to the source that captures the audio from VLC, and I added an offset to it, -750 offset, and I tested this out because I obviously wanted to make sure that it worked, and it seemed like it did. I don't think it's perfect. Like, I think it's still like the tiniest millisecond off or something. But that might just also be my paranoia getting the better of me for all I know. But it's like, it's pretty much spot on now. And I tested it specifically with Bleach because that was a big one from yesterday that was notable with that. Um, because here's the thing, when I record this, all of the audio is recorded together, so I can't cut things out. I can't like cut out the audio of the episode and then like re orient that. Because in order to cut that out, I would also have to cut out my audio, because that's just the way OBS records it. It records it all together. So if there's a desync like this on only one audio source, I can't fix that unless I fix it within the settings and everything. And so it seems like I did that. Again, I tested it multiple times here to make sure that it was going to work that way. And again, it seems to be working that way. It seems to be good now. I tested it. Should be okay. The weirdest thing is I don't even know if it's happening until after it's recorded. Because the problem is when I'm recording, the visual I see on OBS's screen is what is playing currently, and the audio is fully in sync with that. But then after it's recorded, I go back and check out the reaction, and it's like, oh, that's desynced. And most of the time this doesn't happen, so I don't even think to check the reaction footage to check if it's synced, because most of the time it doesn't happen. But it's just like, oh, I was informed that the Bleach one was like this yesterday. I'm like, ah, oh, crap, really? It's something I can't fix at that point. I just have to try and make it work for next time. So hopefully we got that figured out. But yeah, so this is the last one for this series. It sucks, but I'm very excited to see how it ends. And it sounds morbid, but I do hope it ends with the end of the world. I hope that that's not like stopped or anything. With everything this series has been, I feel like thematically it kind of needs to end, like with this coming to pass. It needs to happen. As sad as it would be, like, to see basically every character in this and just everyone on Earth die, it's like, for the thematics of the series, it needs to happen, I feel. I think it would be a huge cop-out if they somehow, like, if it just somehow didn't happen for one reason or another. Like, I trust that they could figure out a reason that would at least be somewhat satisfying, but it would still be a cop-out. As for replacement for this, we will figure that out. We'll go through that in the afterthoughts. So don't worry about what's going to replace this right now. We'll get to that in the afterthoughts. But I think we should just get on with this reaction. We should just see how this closes out and hope that it really sticks the landing. So let's get into it. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West on Mondays and Fridays, Tuesdays and Thursdays is Life is Strange, Wednesdays and Sundays is Red Dead Redemption 2, and on Saturdays we have Nier Automata. A lot of great gaming content every day. Don't forget to click the link in the description below to follow it to today's reaction. I redirect everything just due to copyright reasons. And please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yes, I had a very, very good cry in between the reaction and the afterthoughts here. This is not how I expected the series to end with either of these last 2 episodes, but I think it was the right choice to end it this way. 'Cause we've had this entire series that has focused on Carol, focused on our other main characters, Donna, Luis, even Carol's parents, and everyone like that we've focused on again. So having these last 2 episodes do something completely different and change up the formula, I think is smart. First with episode 9. Episode 9 is kind of like played as like a TV documentary and everything, with Carol narrating about all of this stuff that she said she did to her parents, all this stuff with surfing and whatnot. And it's just this big web of like lies, this big web of falsities of what she's been doing with her time since the end of the world started, since Kepler first was spotted and everything, and the world went to shit. She makes up this grand story, again told through this perspective of like a television docu-series, where she's narrating all these adventures she had, all these adventures she went through to find the perfect wave, all these adventures to try and find something that gave her the rest of the life she had at this point meaning. And despite this, the entire episode and everything within it being false, every lie has a kernel of truth. And what this is actually saying, what the actual core of this is true. Since this all started, Carol has been searching for purpose. She has been searching for something to give not just her life meaning, but in a way that she could pass that on to others. Something that could help deal with the end of the world in a very emotionally satisfying way, where you would leave no regrets, and when the end came and when death comes to everyone, you would be happy. You would be in a good place mentally and emotionally. And this wasn't always Carol's goal or anything. Initially, she did just want distraction. She didn't want to, she wasn't an adventurous type. She wasn't like super excitable. Didn't want to do all this crazy stuff like everyone else was doing. She wanted something that, was simple, easy, normal. That's what would give her life meaning. And eventually that changed, because she made a decision to care. And we'll get more into that in with the last one here. But this episode talking about how she's searching for the perfect wave, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. It ends with her realizing that all waves are perfect, and that what she was really searching for was perspective, was something to look at and appreciate, like the entire time. Basically it's the concept of it's about the journey, not the destination. And that ties into the final episode. The final episode is not focused on Carol at all. It's focused on Kathleen, the HR woman, who we don't even find out the name of until most of the way through the episode. She is a very by-the-numbers type of person who has not only just connected to the distraction in a way where it's like, oh, this is working, this is what we need to focus on. We can't have anything keeping us from that. But she's locked in to such a degree that she starts to investigate Carol after an incident occurs in the office, where everyone just starts crying inexplicably. She starts investigating Carol and finds out like everything that has happened this entire season. This episode gives a recap of the events of the series, while also like feeling natural. It never comes across as like forced or just like it doesn't feel like a typical recap episode where it's like, oh, this is just the same stuff we saw already, we don't need to watch this. No. It's like it's recapping the events that have happened and the things that Carol has done this entire season, but in a way to where it's like, this is what everything has built up to. Not some big grand finale, but a finale built on people. And I'll get more into that. But Kathleen starts investigating this, and she starts realizing, even into the current day, that this is affecting the people at the distraction, the employees here. And at no point does it say that they're not doing their jobs well or anything anymore, but just that it's affecting how the workplace like acts around each other, how they react to each other, how they connect with each other. The entire place, all these employees have grown so close. They've become friends, and in some cases more. And that's why they broke out crying. In the midst of apocalyptic destruction, in the midst of the earth being destroyed, they made connections. The distraction no longer became a distraction. It became a way for them to connect with others and find meaning in their lives. And it started with small things. A wake on top of the roof and stuff. But it eventually ended at Applebee's. Because of course it did. I mean, that was so unexpectedly, phenomenally set up. From the very first episode. Everything comes to Applebee's. Because when you're here, you're family, right? I think that's the Applebee's slogan. I think. Eating good in the neighborhood is like once... Now I'm questioning it. Am I getting the wrong restaurant? I don't watch a lot of commercials anymore because I don't watch TV much anymore. But I think that's Applebee's still. No, that's Olive Garden. God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. But that's what I was thinking the entire time, funny enough. God damn it. I was thinking of the wrong place. But yeah, it's like eating good in the neighborhood is like all what it's about. Like they even mentioned the neighborhood line in this. But like, even though that's Olive Garden's slogan, it's like that kind of works too. But yeah, they start having these happy hours after work, and it doesn't affect their work in any way, but it forms these connections, and they keep going, and they're loving it. They sing karaoke. They have drinks that Carol and Luis and others make for them. They get tacos, which, hell yeah, tacos are awesome. they bond. They form connections, and they become more than just coworkers. And Kathleen goes to Applebee's to investigate on one of their happy hour nights and ends up getting swept in it too. She learns what it's all about and understands, even if that wasn't her intention for going there. It comes down to, in the end, that Carol bettered these people's lives, even if they're short-lived at this point. Just by being friendly and kind, she gave them something to be satisfied in, something to be happy over. And yeah, it caused them to break down crying in the office and just like the middle of the day and everything. Has caused them sadness too, but that sadness has come out of happiness. Carol fostered this community of people facing the end of the world together and learning to value and enjoy their lives. To not push everything out, but to welcome things in. And I don't even think Carol fully understands that she changed the scope of everything with that. But it doesn't matter. because that's not what's important to her. She doesn't want like the fame or attention or anything. Not that she would get much of it at this point, but she just did it because it was kind. Because as much as Carol has, like, social issues and problems here and there, she's a very kind, caring person. And so, yeah, she changed lives without even realizing and without needing to. And I like, again, that there wasn't a big grand finale to this. Like, there wasn't even like a montage scene showing all the different people we've met along the way. Like, we didn't see the two guys. I can't think of their names right now. But the father and son, we didn't see them again. I was saying, like, before in that episode, it's like either this is going to be the last time we're seeing them, or we'll see them in a montage at the very end. That was the last time we saw them. That it closed out that storyline perfectly. And instead of like showing the end of the world happening, the last shot of this is Kepler about to hit right after Carol says goodbye. It doesn't show the end of the world because it's not what this was about. As much as the title says it is, it was lying to you. This title wasn't about the end of the world. It's about making connections, forming bonds, and living life in a way that makes you feel fulfilled. No matter what that entails. It's a series that tells you to value life and everything within it, so that no matter what comes, you will have found happiness. And so the ending to this is perfect. Because it's not about Carol either. That's why this last episode, not having her as the focused character, didn't hurt it at all. Because it's not about her. It's about the message. It's about the meaning. It's about what all of this is for. Carol's just a person. Just a single, random, ordinary person. This is about what she chose to do. This is about what we can choose to do. And that's goddamn beautiful. And don't get me wrong, there's like parts of me that wish there were like some things that were touched on a little more in this series. Some things that were answered. Some questions I had. The one guy who was in the office before everything went to shit and had stayed the entire time. The guy who kind of is the reason why the distraction happened in the first place. He never really gets a conclusion. Like, unless I missed him, I don't think he was at Applebee's, for example. But he never really got a conclusion. We saw, like, his story and how all of this started, but he wasn't even really involved with anyone else at the distraction anyway. He kind of just kept to himself. The managers. No conclusion for them. Nothing happened with them. The last thing we see from them is, them accosting Kathleen for her, not giving the report on time. There's certain things that just aren't wrapped up neatly. But I also think that was necessary. Because in a situation like this, no matter whether it's the end of the world or just real life and how it, ends up being, not everything is going to get wrapped up neatly. Not everything is going to be perfectly bundled up like a Christmas present. Very timely there. Some things are going to be messy. Some things are going to be left unanswered. Some things aren't going to make sense. But you're going to get everything you need to get if you handle this right. We found out everything we needed to find out. And like I said, I kind of wish that we learned some other stuff, some of these like loose threads and all, but it didn't affect my enjoyment of the series at all. This series could have very easily ended with Kepler coming down, everybody looking up at it in the street, crying, and maybe even smiling as the end hits them and as they all die. But instead, it ended with them at Applebee's, enjoying life, enjoying drinks, just living. Because that's what it was all about, living and valuing that life. This series is phenomenal. I really, even though I love the first episode when I initially did the first impressions to it, I did not expect it to be this good by any means. It caught me so off guard with the quality of it, the consistent quality of it, and how amazingly handled it is. It really sucks that this series just didn't get the amount of attention it deserves, because this is honestly one of the best shows I've ever seen. I don't know where I would exactly rank it amongst my favorites. It's hard to say, and I wouldn't call it my favorite per se, because there's other shows that I just personally like more, like The Owl House or One Piece or whatnot. But there is a difference between how much you like something and, the actual, like, general quality of it. Because you can like something that's technically of a lesser quality than another show. For example, I think probably the most tightly written, best, highest quality show I've ever seen is probably Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite anime. It's not my favorite series. Just personally. I still adore it. I love the shit out of it. I've watched it so many times, but it's not my personal favorite. But it's probably the best I've seen in terms of just quality. But that shows that they are different metrics. When you're judging something on, oh, is this the best series I've seen, or is this just my favorite? Those are different metrics. Carol and the End of the World is definitely in kind of the best category. It's one of the best I've ever seen, period. Easily. But I don't know if I would call it one of my favorites. I really have to ruminate on this. I really have to think about it to determine where I would place it. It's definitely up there. I just don't know exactly where. I just wish more people would have seen this when it came out, and I wish more people would see it now. But I'm glad to have checked it out. I'm glad that it caught my attention when I saw it on Netflix, and I hope that I get to see more shows like this, of this quality especially. But that leads us into what is going to replace this. Now, as you know, this is the last week for reactions in 2024. After this week, we are going to be going on winter break, and we will be coming back at the beginning of January in 2025. The only exception being the Christmas special on Christmas Eve. That's the only thing coming out after this Saturday. But that means when we start the new year, when we start 2025, we're going to need a new show for this slot. And I feel like I feel like we've been choosing shows a little bit more lately, and I feel like it's a good time to go back to the wheel. And so I was trying to decide what kind of show do I want to do this for, because at this point I've kind of been going back and forth between like, oh, this slot is a donation reward, but now it's actually a first impression, but now it's my choice. I've kind of been going back and forth. I'm deciding that replacing Carol and the End of the World is going to, instead of being another first impression, is going to be a donation reward. We're going to get to another donation reward in this slot for the next go. And I wanted to make sure, as always, that the options on the wheel were diverse in that each option was for a different donator. So we have a good amount here. Let me get this up. Now this is pretty small. Let me see if I can increase it. I'll block out my face. How about that? So, we have How to Keep a Mummy, Cabinet of Curiosities, Dragon Prince Season 5, Lovely Complex, Symphogear GX, Unicorn Warriors Eternal, Invincible Season 2, Mo Dao Zu Shi, Demon Slayer, and actually I think that's I'm in Love with the Villainess, which shouldn't be on there anymore because we already did that. Yep. So actually, I need to replace that real quick because we already checked that show out. Luckily, I have my list up still. So that one was for Random Internet Stranger. I believe they have another show on here that I could put in this spot. Let me just make sure. There's a lot of stuff on here I have to go through. Yeah, looks like there's one more here. Okay. So we just need to replace this with, and then there were none, 2015. Just to specify. Okay. So yeah, that's the change there, but let's scroll back up. So we're going to spin this wheel, and we're going to see what randomized choice we get. What is going to be our next show for the Tuesday slot once we come back in 2025? Let's get to it. And it looks like it's Invincible Season 2 from an unknown donator. I still have not, like, the donator who donated for this never came forward and told me who they are. But Invincible Season 2 will begin at the start of the year, which is interesting, because doesn't Season 3 come out, like, I think in February, I want to say? Or maybe it's in January, I don't know. But, yeah, we are going to be finally getting around to Invincible Season 2, starting at the beginning of the year. That's going to be our Tuesday slot. So there you have it. I would love to hear your thoughts on these final 2 episodes of Carol and the End of the World. I thank you all so much for tuning into these reactions. I hope you've enjoyed them as much as I have. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.